I sent 49 comics to CGC over a year ago. They're finally back, and unfortunately, yesterday's video was part 1, and some things were disappointing. I did notice a lot of books that had ever so slight, very tiny pressable defects the press just didn't get, or flat out, they just looked perfect and bulletproof, and I still ended up with 9.4s. What, were they allergic to 9.8s this time? I think that that's a little bit higher grade, but hey, this submission was graded in that same batch. I've already seen these grades. I think this was just a funky submission. The pressing just really didn't bump the books like I usually expect them to, and frankly, and this submission's got them too, there were a few books that came back in worse shape than when I sent them out. Now that's disappointing. I really don't like doing negative videos back to back, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to paint a smile on my face. So let me go ahead and put on a smile. The first like 6 books in here are genuinely a good improvement, right? So check it out. We have Nova number 1. I think I spent $15 on this, guys. So this was in a little bit rougher shape, I would just say. It was probably in the 8s. This is one where I can tell the presser pressed this book and it ended up being a 9.4, which is this book's highest potential. This is pressing done right. Yesterday's video, nothing was improved, so already there are some positive elements to this video that weren't in yesterday's video. The fact that this got all the way to a 9.4, I'm ecstatic. They did a great job on the press, so I gotta give them credit where credit's due. Next up, we have my favorite of the batch. This is Batman Special number 1. It is the Canadian price variant, and it got the 9.8, which is actually the only one in this grade on the census. I do have some ever so slight issues. I did ask them to include in the notes first appearance of Wrath, one of my favorite Batman villains, which is seriously underappreciated and hardly known. He left a big impact on me, and this is one of my favorite Batman stories. They didn't include it on the notes, and even though it's the Canadian price tag, they're supposed to put the Canadian price whenever CGC grades a Canadian price variant. They put the price right there, so they left this completely blank. However, this is a unicorn book. There is none like it on the census. This is the only 9.8 Canadian price variant that exists. That's pretty awesome. This is Hood number 1, first appearance of Parker Robbins the Hood. This was free. That was like a year and a half ago. And look, a press brought it to a 9.4. And this is every bit a 9.4. A free book. Back when submitting these were like 17 bucks. Dudes, I'll take it. Another pleasant surprise is we got a West Coast Avengers 45 here. Funny story, I got this because I thought it was a cool cover homage a year before this book got crazy. Isn't it convenient? This book, I think in 9.8, got well over $1,000, which is just nuts. Anyway, I got this in a dollar bin at Phantasm Comics about 2.5 years ago. 9.4. And I'll take it. That's a beautiful looking 9.4. What's interesting, guys, is a couple of these have been 9.4 already. These are 9.4s. Yesterday's video, literally everything was a 9.4, but they looked bulletproof. Here, I can actually see 1 or 2 flaws. So these are a true 9.4, but that's awesome. This next one is just like the first appearance of Nova. This was a genuine surprise. I got this at Watchman number 1 for 20 bucks. And I said that it would be a 9.2. It came back a 9.6. So some good things were happening here. Check it. Look at that beautiful cover there, guys. Watchman number 1, 9.6. That's, I almost just said you can't beat that. You could, of course, get a 9.8, so you can beat that, but that's pretty nice, guys. Awesome. Next up, we have a super random Green Lantern number 19. It's not a key. but it's part of my run that I was collecting for the personal collection. 9.8. This is starting to look like how my submissions should go. Unfortunately, after this book, that starts to die down. Why? Number 0, it's the first full, not first, but first full appearance of Bloodshot Origin and the first appearance of the new Rye. Check it. 9.8. Believe it or not, this book is so common that I think a 9.8 might not even be $100. I think it's like 90 or something. I'll check. It might be 100. This right now is where the quality seemed to drop. We got a Detective Comics 583. This is the first appearance of Scarface and the Ventriloquist. Now this book, even still, now that it's back from CGC, this is so bulletproof that it's almost laughably pretty, right? Gorgeous book, not an error in sight. This is absolutely gorgeous. You got a 9.6, and because none of these books had graded notes, I will never know why. I was looking at that for a solid minute or two, can't find anything wrong with it. Or maybe the issue lays inside the book, I'll never know. Next up, we have another bulletproof book. This is the DC Universe variant logo of the first appearance of Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern. I thought it was also the first appearance of Parallax, but maybe not. It's the death of a bunch of the Green Lanterns here, including Kilowog. 9.6, which is still a great grade. It's weird to seem disappointed, so we'll just gloss over that. I hoped it would be a 9.8, but you can be wrong sometimes. Granted, these books I've been looking over and I don't see a single thing wrong with it. I think it should have been a 9.8. Next up, we got the entire Year 2 storyline. I knew these weren't 9.8 going in. I actually said that all 4 of them would get a 9.4, maybe 9.6. Well, not quite. 9.2, and this one has a new spine tick that wasn't there before. Ever so slightly color breaking, it's very minimal, but it was not there before I sent that in. So, next one up is 576. That one did get the 9.4 like I said it would. Can I lean that up there? Nope. Okay. Next up, part 3, 9.4. And part 4 got the 9.6. So I'm probably gonna either keep these or sell them as a bundle. I don't really know. I'm not that disappointed about those. I'm a little disappointed with this one for obvious reasons. We got a Teen Titans #1. Pretty awesome. I was hoping this would come back in time for me to submit it for George Perez's signing. Unfortunately, I missed that window. And also, unfortunately, this thing looks like a 9.6, 9.8 brick. There's literally no flaws anywhere on it, but still, man, you can tell this is the same grader that got me yesterday. 9.2. Oh, James, just look at the grader's notes. There are no grader's notes on anything in this batch, so I will never know why that did not get a 9.8. I won't know. But we're still smiling! Next up is a book I am so hilariously on the hunt for. This book just mocks me. Green Lantern Corps, number 201. It is the first appearance of Kilowog. This thing isn't a perfect brick. I said it would get a 9.6, not a 9.8. But somehow, they deemed that one tiny flaw that I caught, it was worthy of bumping it down to a 9.2. So, James, maybe the issue lies on the inside. Maybe, but I'll never know, because they didn't leave any grader's notes. Still, it's nice to have that back in the collection. Next, we have a super disappointing, but that's okay. Micronauts number 8, I said it would get a 9.8. I was absolutely sure that it would get it. It got a 9.2. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. I couldn't tell you. There are no spine ticks. There's nothing. Like, is it? I don't know. I don't know. And I never will know. Because they didn't tell me. this next one, I can actually see that the presser did not get this book, and I find that really disappointing. Yeah, for whatever reason, this submission, I've found that the press improved a small pocket of books, completely ignored a kind of a bigger pocket of books. I can tell that they haven't been pressed, and a couple books were even hurt. We got a newsstand copy of the first appearance of Vigilante, Teen Titans Annual number 2. I said that this would get a 9.8. I was pretty confident about it too, and it ended up as a 9.2. There's almost like a tiny little color rub up on that corner, but yeah, I don't see any spine ticks. I literally see nothing wrong with this book. So why it got the 9.2 is an absolute mystery. This isn't even a matter of like grading me harsh. This thing is a brick. I think not even a forgiving grader would give me a 9.8. I think a fair grade of this is a 9.8, and somehow I got a 9.2, which leads me to believe something's wrong on the inside of the book. But as I said before, I truly never will know. So, that one hurts, but nothing can compare to the last one that got the slab, and then I'm going to show you what the nightmare that happened on my rejects over here. Black Panther, number 1 from 1977, beautiful Jack Kirby cover. Especially for a 1977 book, you could scour this all day. There are literally no flaws all over the book, except for an ever so slightly finger bend right under this frog here. Here's the thing about that finger bend. That wasn't there before I submitted it in. Despite that, look, guys, this thing is like as clean as it was off the printing press. Should have gotten like maybe a 9.6, 9.4 because of this finger bend. Look at that. 9.0. Now, what's interesting is I submitted these books and I pre-screened for 9.2, meaning they weren't supposed to grade anything that got below a 9.2. What happened here? A couple things happened here. First of all, there's a new damage to my book that wasn't there before. You completely ignored my request to restrict this just to 9.2, but we're still smiling. I'm not kidding. This thing is unbelievably fresh. I think if I were to find 9.8 copies on Google, this one could potentially look even nicer. Not a spine tick on this whole thing. 1977, still no spine ticks. And you're gonna take this book and add a new problem to it? Ooh. These were the rejects. You ready for this one? Here's my newsstand copy of New Mutants. I'm not that upset about this one though, because I knew this one was teetering on the edge of that 9.2. I thought that like if they were overly generous, I could get a 9.4 out of this. Looks like it must have been a 9.0 because they didn't grade it. So just missed the cut. Same thing with, I believe, no, I'm saving that one for last. No. My 2 copies of She-Hulk number 1. These were both same thing, teetering on that edge of like the, they could get a 9.2 with a press, maybe a 9.4, one of them. I don't recommend submitting books because one of these I think was like a 9.2 maybe. The other one was kind of a more solid 9.4. Sometimes when you submit books together, I've seen them get lazy and they'll lump them in together and they both get the lower grade. I've seen that more times than I wish to talk about. But I'm not overly surprised that they didn't. You know what I mean? This one I'm surprised. And I think one of the reasons why I'm surprised is because there's a nice new spine tick right by Taskmaster's speech bubble there that wasn't there before. Yeah, this is my copy of the first appearance of Taskmaster. Keep in mind, this submission is over a year old. Had that defect not been added, and had this come back last summer, this could have happened in time for the Black Widow movie. Unfortunately, this book came back damaged and 14 months late. but we're still smiling. It's gonna be pretty hard to smile about this one. This is the first appearance of Nightwing, and it is one of my favorite comic books of all time. Now, this thing, I don't want to get into like conspiracy theories, but I think this isn't my book. I think that's not my book. I'll tell you why. There's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minor spine ticks, right? Here's the problem. Mine had no spine ticks. None. So either this is my book and something went haywire in the pressing. Now what's interesting is the spine ticks are not color breaking. They're very undefined and very small. But it, like, did they grab someone else's book? I know that's not what happened. Of course this is my book, guys. But there are noticeable defects to this one that did not exist before.
Second to last one I got. And a personal grail I've been chasing forever. I can't even hide my excitement here, but this is Tales of New Teen Titans 44, the first appearance of Nightwing. Guys, I think it's a 9.8. I don't even think I need to press this.
And because of that, apparently it was bad enough to bring this book down from a 9.8 to a 9.6 to a 9.4 to a 9.2 and to below even that. So they jacked up my Tales of New Teen Titans 44. And once again, I'm gonna have to make another call out to customer service. God damn. This is why you take pictures of your books before you send them in, guys, by the way. This is why. They actually have, for all their faults right now, they have unbelievable customer support, and they'll make certain things right by you. You just got to document it, right? If you have a picture before these flaws came in, you show them to that, they might be able to help you out and do something there. And I think they should. If you can prove that it was them that botched your book, yeah. 49 books total. This video was part 2. Yesterday was part 1. I think overall we got only 3 9.8s out of the batch. A whole stinking bunch of 9.4s. This batch had some justifiable 9.4s, whereas yesterday's stuff was like they just gave 9.4 to like everything, even if it was perfect. At least there were books in here that I felt were justified, and then it got completely stupid. Well, guys, I know one of you is going to write this in the comments. Why do I keep going back to CGC? This submission is 14 months old. This isn't me going back to CGC. This is me finally getting something in that took a millennium to get to me. I actually just did wrap up and send out to CBCS, my first submission ever, so I will do an unboxing once that comes back. I think I'm going to be using CGC moving forward, primarily for like these awesome signature series and awesome signings that they do. I think they have a great program. I still think that CGC is, believe it or not, I'm still saying this, I think they're still a good company. I just think they're a little lost right now. They're struggling. I don't know if they can keep up with the crazy, unparalleled workload. Not that it's any excuse, but I don't think they can keep up with it. I know that inflation has really rocked their world. I know that they're having issues hiring right now. They're having a hard time onboarding. They have been onboarding, but it hasn't made anything better. Unfortunately, the quality control has been dipping. Now, granted, a lot of these problems that have come up may not be so much CGC's fault, but their presser, CCS, which is their in-house presser. And I think that may be true. CGC themselves, if you don't press, things are starting to come down turnaround times. But if you press in-house, you might be waiting an entire year. And from this and yesterday's, there were a few examples where I was impressed by the pressing, but I'd say maybe only like 10%. The rest was seemingly ignored or messed things up. So, a couple takeaways that I have. I think I'm going to slide back into doing third-party pressers. There's so many great ones. I know Very Gary uses and highly recommends E-Rod. He's made quite a name for himself. I got a buddy up in Canada, actually, that says he's going to press 10 books for free for me, so I'm going to be sending some books up his way. And then one of my local comic book shops now offers a pressing thing, so I think I'll go there, because I still believe in getting your books pressed, if you do want to ever get them slabbed, or just for your own reading pleasure and making them the best that they could be. But I think this soured my CCS experience so much that I don't think I can go back. I'll let you know what I think about CBCS's presser. I did just send some books out to be pressed by them. Hopefully I see noticeable improvements to these books. We will have to see. As always, guys, keep on hunting.